Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 414. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we've got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hello. Hi.
This week on the show, we'll be taking a look at the first two entries in Leigh Janiak's Fear Street trilogy. We'll also be going over some we're watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That'd be very helpful. With that being said, I think we can just go straight in. No housekeeping to go over, right into the review. So, Leigh Janiak, who I'd say is a friend of the show. She's been on the podcast before. She did the movie Honeymoon, which I think, I can't remember. Did you like that?
Man, it's been a while, so I don't have a very strong memory of it. But I remember being interested. She does after that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was interesting enough that I was looking forward to see where she went.
Got it.
And
yes.
I was surprised to find out that it was the Fear Street trilogy, which I learned like a little bit before we decided to cover it.
Mm-hmm. So this is based on the R.L. Stine book series, which was a little bit lesser known than Goosebumps, obviously, but I remember really being into Fear Street as well when I was a kid. Like, I remember that Fear Street was for the older kids. So I kind of wanted to get into Fear Street more than Goosebumps, because even though Goosebumps was specifically targeted for my age at the time, I was like, knowing that Fear Street was there and it was for older kids, I just naturally wanted that one instead. But the stories were, more like about teenagers and just involved like slashers and stuff like that. So what we have here is a trilogy of films. Parts 1 and 2 are out now on Netflix. We'll talk about part 1 first, since that's the one that released a couple weeks ago. It takes place in 1994, so it's Fear Street Part 1, 1994. It should be noted that Leigh Janiak directed all three of the movies, which I think is definitely a plus.
That's what put me over the top, is seeing that she directed all three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a synopsis here. In 1994, a group of teenagers discovers that the terrifying events which have haunted their town for generations are all connected, and that they may be the next targets. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. What were your initial impressions of Fear Street Part 1?
I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised by this. Again, going back to me essentially learning about this like a day before we decided to cover it, interest was piqued. Leigh Janiak, I was like, I know that name. And then, finding out who it is, interest was piqued. Finding out that she directed all three, interest really piqued. And then I got locked in with finding out that they were all rated R. I was like, oh, okay, this could actually be something that's legit. And I got to say, with part 1, it was immensely satisfying. It ticked off a lot of boxes. You have the opening in a mall, which I don't know why, but horror movies taking place in a mall just works. I hope that I'll watch any movie that takes place in a mall where people are being murdered.
100% agree. 100% agree. I love mall movies.
It's just like the mall is the perfect place for murder. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the perfect arena for late night murder.
I think I think that it's because it's so big, it's sprawling, and then there's it's dark, so there's kind of creepiness built into a mall where it's closed down and all the lights are off, and then you have things like mannequins that could be around. You have potentially there's a sporting goods store that has weapons or something in it. There's just so many opportunities with a mall.
And I feel like it's just really, really easy to just stay there.
Mm-hmm.
They shut it down. You hiding, if your mom's shopping for clothes and you just get in the
inside
in the clothes rack and you just hang out in the bottom of the rack. You just got to stay there.
Yep. Should do that as an adult sometime. Get inside the clothes rack. Just to see what would happen. Just to do it again.
Just to do it again. One last go.
One last hurrah inside the clothes rack.
Yeah, for old time's sake. The old bucket list. Check off the box. So yeah, back to Fear Street Part 1. It starts off strong. It does feel a lot like a Netflix movie in the sense that it's very rapid fire at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like you can tell that it's set up for the algorithm. It's set up to hold you in for like 10 minutes, and then if you decide to turn it off, it still counts as a click.
Yeah.
As a view. Like you can tell because they play like 18 songs.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts.
It's a hell of a soundtrack.
The 3/4 of this budget for both of these movies is just licensing.
Oh yeah. Big songs. Like they like went through the Billboard. They probably just looked at the Billboard chart for 1994 and just picked like the top 50, and we're like, that's our soundtrack right there.
Well, and I think a good number of these songs were like not 94. They were 95, 96. But anything that was like in the vicinity, they're just like throw it in there.
I wondered about that as far as the song selection, and I was thinking about looking it up, but then I was like, you know what? No, I don't even care. I don't care enough to get the continuity of the dates right.
Yeah, because I had to. This prompted me to listen to The Prodigy again, which has been a long time, and that was 96, I think, that album came out.
Fat of the Land? Was that the name of the...
I'm pretty sure.
I think that was the name of that. That had like Firestarter and Smack My Bitch Up.
I remember that being like insane to me in terms of like a ton of stuff going on, and then I listen to it now and I'm like, oh, this is pretty simple and straightforward.
Yeah, I actually listened to The Prodigy not too long ago as well. Like just a couple weeks ago. I went through this like kind of 90s electro like techno pop phase.
And I think that was a huge help too, with this being 1994. Just the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, there was a lot of nostalgia for sure on this. So we were 10 when this movie takes place, and the nostalgia was there, but I didn't think they went overboard with it. Like it wasn't too egregious with the date.
No, because most of it is just in the music.
Yeah, and I thought it was fine. But I mean, there were lots of fun little winks and nods to the era, like the clear phones. Like that's a big thing. Like my family had a clear house phone.
But the computer chat room.
Oh, that was
I was like, damn, you're talking shit on your dad never being around, but no wonder he's working 2 jobs.
Wasting that AOL money.
Yeah, you know how expensive that shit was back then?
That they actually did mention that, which I thought was funny. How she complains, and she said I think he said he was like using the neighbors or something like that. I can't remember what his excuse was.
This town is, they were forward thinking back in 1994.
I would just sign up for trials, for like free trials of AOL, and just keep doing that over and over again.
Oh yeah, you got how many discs in the mail?
Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed this movie too. I thought it was a really fun kind of supernatural slasher. I like the idea that there were like multiple slashers in here. It felt very reminiscent of Stranger Things or It, like that kind of style where you have a group of kids going up against an evil. So it very much had that vibe. There was like a kind of a slight Amblin feel to it, which I thought I was totally on board with. I didn't like the main character. I didn't really like her too much. I did like the brother. I thought the brother, Benjamin Flores Jr., who's Josh.
He's MVP.
Yeah, I thought he was great in it. I was surprised at the level of gore. So it starts off pretty tame, and see that's what surprised me. So it starts off with, you know, there's people getting killed, but the kills are not like over the top, like too over the top. You know, there's like stabbings and stuff, but later on in the movie, when some of the main characters start to get it, they ramp up the gore level to a surprising level, honestly.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I found that caught me off guard and was very welcomed.
I agree. I thought that it made it more fun. Like when you have the kind of over the top craziness, it fits within the context of this story. It's not, I mean, it's not a horror comedy per se, but there's a lot of really fun elements in it. I think that it does lean into like just the over the top, goofier nature of a slasher movie. And I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. And especially considering the fact that you take it over the top by having not one slasher, but multiple. Like the entire history of serial killers from this town just all coming back, which to me, like, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know that that was going to be the thing of this movie. And then once it was set up, I was like, I love this, I think. Like, I just love this idea of serial killers across decades.
Yeah.
All coming back and working together to kill one person.
Yeah.
I love that idea. It's a great idea.
I think that this movie plays with a lot of really cool concepts. You have a slasher element, you have a supernatural element. There's witches in here, so it pulls from a lot of different subgenres, and I think that it does it in a really cool and fun way. And I also I like the lore of this. I like the idea that there's this town that's cursed, and you have so the town that it takes place in is called Shadyside, and then right next to it you have Sunnyvale, is it? Or Sunnydale? Sunnyvale. And it's this sort of classic rich neighborhood versus poor neighborhood, this class divide type of situation where everybody looks down on the Shadyside kids, and they're the ones who are like the druggies, and that's where all the murders take place. And then the Sunnyvale kids are like the rich preppies. So you have that going on. You see more of that in the second one, but
yeah,
it definitely plants the seeds in part one. And I like all of that too. And I think that just the backstory is, I think it's interesting enough, and they added enough elements to it that I think make it easy to expand the story into 3 parts without it feeling like too stale. Where I think it's interesting that they added the last part first, sort of, right? Like, because 94 is the first part, but that's as modern as it gets. The second part is 78, and then the third part is going to be 1666. So they're going to go all the way back for the third part.
Yeah, you're going back to the origin with the third one, and the culmination is the first one, which I did find interesting. Because there was a part of me, there was a little bit of me, the end of the first one, the way in which they set it up. Essentially, like, the end of the movie is kind of like a trailer for the second movie, which didn't really work for me. But, you can just...
I think you can
discount it. You can just be like, okay, they know what they're doing. They're setting this up as a trilogy. Of course, they're going to do like a little advertisement type deal.
Yeah, I actually don't even consider that in part to be part of the movie. I think that it is like literally a trailer that they just stick on there, like, next time on Fear Street, like that type of thing.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I really like, because going back to the history of this culminated in the first part of all these serial killers coming to kill. The best part about this, the thing that I find very interesting, is that they're only interested in one person.
Yeah.
They have a laser focus on one person. Everyone else, and they know this, they know that they could just stay out of harm's way. Just keep the blood off their hands, off their person, and they're okay. But they don't do that. which I found, normally I would be like, "Oh, you fucking idiots," but it's understandable as teens.
It's a plan.
You're so you're so into your friends. Like that's your group. You know what I mean? Like you're just starting to get independence. You have your friends, and your friends mean everything to you. And I like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was really pleased with this overall. It did start to lose me in the latter portions, but at the end, it did bring me back, and I was
Yeah, because it starts you start to lose a little bit, and then the bread slicer machine is introduced, and you're like, are they actually going to use the bread slicer machine? And oh my god, they do.
That final, I mean, it was starting to weigh on me a little bit. I was like getting I don't want to say I was getting bored, but I was just like, all right, I don't know. It feels like we're in a lull here. I kind of see where this is going, but then that final like culminating scene happens, and you're just like, all right, you brought me back in.
Well, and I think that's the thing too, is that there's a little bit of a lull, not in a sense of like the body count has become stagnant.
Right.
It's that like it felt in a sense that the stakes kind of leveled off. Like, okay, this isn't as big as I was thinking it was going to be. And then things escalate to the point where you're like, oh, okay, we're killing people that I didn't think we were going to kill.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, the stakes are much higher now.
Yeah, they do some really interesting things with it. I was really hesitant in this whole thing as like being able to stitch these three things together, and I was like, is it going to feel too much like an anthology? Are they going to feel too separate from one another? How are they going to handle the fact that it's going in reverse chronological order? Because like, and I think that we can use this to transition into talking about the second one. We already know who dies in the second one at the beginning, right? Like, so you're starting the second one already knowing basically what happens. So my hesitation with the second one was like, is it gonna have as much of an impact knowing how this is all gonna play out? So, because you have Gillian Jacobs, who is introduced in the first one in '94 as the sole survivor of a massacre that happens at a summer camp in 1978. So we already know like that she's the only one, or one of the only ones who makes it through.
Yeah.
And but I gotta say, for part two, that it didn't actually bother me. Like, I wasn't affected by the fact that I knew that all these people were going to die, and I think that's just because that's the nature of a slasher movie. Like, I think with most slasher movies, you can go into it knowing that only one or maybe two of these people are going to make it through. Yeah. And you can pretty easily determine who that person's going to be.
Yeah, because you have the rules, throughout the history of this genre. You have the final girl. So early on, you can usually pick out who the final girl is going to be, and that everyone else more than likely is going to get it.
So the part two, which came out this past weekend, as I had already mentioned, it takes place in '78. It's at this camp called Camp Nightwing, which I believe is, I don't know if is it like in between the Shady Side, Sunnyvale, because it has both kids from both places in it.
Yeah,
but I can't quite. It's basically the location of the mall in the part one.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have the basically Gillian Jacobs, the young version of her, who is played by Sadie Sink, who you probably know from Stranger Things, and she plays this camper who has to go up against basically the same killers as the first one.
Yeah,
I did pretty like much that we got to see the origin of one of them in this.
Yes.
Thought that was really cool.
And I think that was one of the most interesting things to me. Be pleasantly surprised with the first movie where I was like, okay, I'm actually into this. Like this first installment was pretty damn good.
Mm.
And knowing that you have 78 and 19 or 78 and 1666 as the next two installments, and I'm looking at it like, okay, I like this idea of having, in terms of horror movies, like what's popular. You know, you have the 94 version, which has a lot of popular elements all rolled into one. 78, you have, you know, all the camp movies kind of rolled into one. And then 1666 looks like it's going to be like all the folk
horror,
you know, yeah, you know, like the old timey, the witch, that type of deal, you know, rolled into one. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be interesting to see how Leigh Janiak kind of like interprets these moments in the genre itself. So coming to 78, I'm pretty excited because I'm like, you know, these camp stuff, like another thing, killing people at camp, pretty damn good. I might think that that's better than a mall.
I think it's better than a mall. I love camp movies. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the Sleepaway Camp series, the Friday the 13th. I mean,
so many things.
Great. And just camp movies in general, like Meatballs and like just camp comedies and stuff. I love camp movies.
So I was pretty excited for this one. Now, I will say that this one was a little bit of a letdown in terms of like a large portion of this. There's not a whole lot going. Like this one really takes its time getting going. And there was just, for me, there was some weird like speed ramping almost. It's like the special effects in terms of like the kills and stuff early on just looked atrocious to me. Like especially the first kill just looked very weird.
Yeah, they would do like a slow-mo thing and then speed it up.
Yeah, it did not work for me. And this is the one where I was like, oh man, like I'm kind of feeling let down by this R rating that I was initially somewhat excited about until the end of the movie. And then I was like, okay.
They pick it up, yeah.
That's a like really bleak way to end this. Just the slow-mo, like extremely bleak. And I wasn't quite prepared for it. And it kind of got me in terms of just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This whole town is fucked.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing they can do.
Which is funny because I feel like that there's a little bit of a tonal shift that happens with that, where the movie plays like a, you know, campy, no pun intended there, camp slasher movie, and then at one point, like it gets pretty damn serious.
Yeah,
which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it worked on me because that really got me in terms of like, okay. Much of leading up to this was maybe not my cup of tea, or I wish things were gone differently, you know, but this pretty much makes up for it, just about, because man, it is bleak.
Yeah. For me, I would say that part 2 is pretty much on the same level as part 1. I will agree with you that the buildup was slower. It was a little bit of a slower burn. But the thing is, like, I like camp movies, so I was totally fine with like the pranks and like the color war stuff and like the douchey counselors and all of that. So I was fine with all of that stuff. I wish that I understand that you want some kind of like stylistic consistency throughout these 3 movies, but because each one is sort of drawing from a specific time in cinema and a specific subgenre, I just kind of wish that maybe she switched it up a little bit as far as the visuals. I kind of wanted it to look more like a 70s camp movie. Like, to me, there was an American Horror Story season. I don't know if it was the last season or what, but it took place in a summer camp. And like, to me, that looked like this. The two looked the same. in that, like, yeah, takes place in 78, but this looks like a very modern movie that was shot to look like 78. I just wish that maybe they use some different cameras or even just add some filters to make it look a little bit more dated to sort of just hammer in that style. But other than that, I thought that it was fine. I mean, there were some really fun. I mean, I guess this one was certainly more serious than the last one. Like, there was definitely comedy in this, but and maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like there was more levity in the first part compared to the second part.
I think so. I think the levity in the first one is kind of constant throughout.
Yeah.
Where here in this one, it's kind of front loaded, and then things kick off, and it gets serious, and it's not funny anymore.
No, definitely not. Things get very serious.
Yeah, I mean, this one has an axe, and kids are getting killed.
A lot of children die in this one. An entire camp full of kids.
And I was slightly disappointed. There was a part of me that was like, this is kind of tame, because you're not showing any of these kids getting killed. You're just inferring,
Kevin wanted the child death, the gratuitous child death.
Throw it in there. Why not? Let's do it. It's 2021.
Yeah, we can show kids dying on screen.
We could show the aftermath where there was body parts everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, it looks fake as hell anyways. I was bummed about the first kid that died, because out of all the kids that were going to die, I didn't want that kid to die. And the way that this ended up, I was like, please don't kill him, not him.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah, that kid's awesome. He was
already having a rough time at camp.
I think he's on a show. Is it Pen 15 maybe?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Pen 15. Yeah,
is it okay?
That's where I know him from. Yeah, he's great in Pen 15. He was great in this too.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of screen time.
Yep.
And then his body parts get a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. Sucks for him. Yeah, I liked this one. I would say like a pretty much on the same level as the first one. I love camp movies. I like that she's playing with conventional styles and themes and stuff. Like, I don't mind that she's working within genre tropes. I'm perfectly fine with that, because I think that she's telling this story in her own way, and that even though it falls into tropes, that's very intentional, and I think that it's still telling a really interesting story.
Well, and I think too, from the outset, knowing that this is a R.L. Stine
right
based series, like, that this is the aim of this is just to be highly entertaining for a large audience, which I'm not necessarily against, as long as it does have that kind of feel of the like a Stephen King.
Yep.
You said, Amblin feel, that type of thing where it just taps into that undercurrent. It'll work for me. Like, I might not think that these are like, oh man, these are just the high points of cinema. That's not what I'm looking for going into this. I'm looking just for a good time. This one's a little bit of a letdown, but I think overall, both of them, I enjoyed myself while watching them.
I can't really choose which one I liked more. I liked them both pretty equally. So I think that they're both worth looking at. I think that they're both different enough, and I think that they, even though this one is essentially a prequel to the first one, I think that there's enough new material here that it does push the story forward, because we still do, even though this takes place in 78, we still do get to see more of the 94 stuff. So where this picks up is directly after, like, right when the first one ends. So it does move the plot forward. And I suspect that in the third section, we're going to get more of that too, where there's like almost bookends. So it almost feels like a little bit of an anthology, but not quite.
I'm also interested in, because the part 2 does kind of the same thing where it has that stinger trailer at the end where it looks like the cast.
It's the 94 cast, yeah.
Like all the people.
Oh yeah,
seem
yeah.
to be
actually, yeah.
Because that was the one thing about part 2. While I did like the new cast, there was a part of me that was like, man, I really liked the 94 cast, and I kind of missed them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see how 1666 is handled with everyone being there.
I'm just wondering, because the thing is with like folk horror, there's like no comedy in that. Like that is 100% like just grind your emotions into the ground, like just so bleak and horrible. And I'm wondering if it's gonna be lighter than typical folk horror, or if they're gonna lean into that style really heavily, and like, because I mean, it looks, just from the little stinger, it looks like it's gonna be very serious. Like it's gonna it's gonna grind your bones.
Which kind of makes sense in the sense that this is something that's been affecting this town since 1666. At a certain point, you just come to terms with it and just find the humor in the fact that your town's cursed.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a murderer every, 8 years, 10 years, something like that. Someone's going to die. It's just everyone's going to die. So you're just like, oh, whatever.
We just accept it.
Yeah, it's a small town. We just do drugs and drink. Like, fuck this.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Exactly. You're screwed either way. You're born in shady side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see where they go with 1666. I think that what we'll do is we'll wait until next week, and when we talk about the last part, and then we'll give scores to all of them together. I feel like we really need to sort of evaluate the whole thing as like one project.
Yeah.
In order to like kind of accurately give it a dumb arbitrary score.
Yes, definitely. But I will say, part 2, that ending, my God,
what a choice! Like it didn't really. I felt like it didn't really coincide with a lot of what happened previously. Because I mean, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't supposed to pack as big of an impact as what it did, but just the fact that like it lingered and it lasted way longer than what you would expect.
Yeah, it's just a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was intense for sure.
It was, yeah.
That is Fear Street Parts 1 and 2. Both are available on Netflix now, and I would recommend checking both of them out. And the third part is going to be dropping this Friday. So, by the way, love it. I wish every trilogy of every movie did this exact thing where it's every week is the next part.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait a year to get the next. If you're going to do a trilogy, shoot them all at the same time, release them each week, be done with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about someone we're watching. One movie that I think we can both briefly mention is No Sudden Move. This is the new Steven Soderbergh one that dropped on HBO Max. It stars Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, David Harbour's in there. David Harbour's having a good run.
Yeah.
I just saw him in Black Widow, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But
Brendan Fraser
is in this. I
just I didn't realize that I missed him that much.
Right. John Hamm's in this too, and Kieran Culkin is as well, and Amy Seimetz, friend of the show.
So many friends.
Got a lot of friends. So this was a pretty good one. I enjoyed No Sudden Move. I loved I mean, if you're into double crosses, if you're into movies that have lots of twists and turns and double crosses and triple crosses, this movie is like, it goes overboard with the double crosses. I mean, it's insane. Everybody's double crossing everybody in this, and I kind of loved it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's got a solid cast. It's everything that you would expect from a Soderbergh movie that entails, either some type of heist
Hmm.
or some type of job. You get the team together, and you got an incredible cast, great performances. The only downside is that it's ugly as shit,
It is
which is
the
really
worst, maybe the worst looking movie I've seen this year. I
it's
hated it.
awful. It's awful.
I don't know what he was doing. I didn't really look into it. I'm sure that there's like an article that explains what he was doing, but he uses some kind of lens. It almost looks like a fisheye lens. Now I'm wondering if it was like a lens that like an old lens or something that he wanted to give it some kind of old timey look. But it's shot on digital as far as I can tell. And
Oh yeah,
so it has this like digital look, but it also has this really weird fisheye where anybody who's in like the outer edges of the frame is all like skinny and distorted, and then as they get in closer, they like get more squished, and it just looks so bad. Like I don't know, I honestly don't know what he was thinking with this. Like it just clearly it was an experiment. He was trying to go for something with it, and it just did not work because it's just horrible. I hated it, especially like during movement. Anytime the camera would move, you're just like, oh god.
Yeah, it was especially jarring in the opening with Don Cheadle walking,
Yeah,
essentially across the entire city to get to his location in the beginning. And it was, stationary camera that kind of, does a little swivel move as he's walking by. And you realize like the outside edges, everything gets distorted and warped, and then it changes like as he walks by, and the camera pivots. And you're just like, oh, I hope they don't do that throughout the entire movie. And you quickly learn that they do.
it's the whole it's the whole thing.
Yeah, and you're just like, I don't like it. I just don't like it at all.
I mean, I feel like maybe it's a lens that could have worked in like certain situations, but I almost feel like you would have to be so meticulous with your framing if you want to use a lens like that and have like character interactions, and you would almost all have to have it be like a static shot too. You wouldn't be able to really move it much.
Yeah,
because that's when stuff looks pretty wacky when it's moving around.
Yeah, it did not work for me at all in terms of visually speaking.
Yeah, I really really hated the look of it. It was jarring. It was so distracting. Just looked like utter shit. But the movie was pretty fun, so I enjoyed where it went, and I liked the. I liked how it all turned out. I liked where it went in the final act. But it seemed very very fitting for the way that it unfolded.
And I just love what it's about.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun. So I would give it a light recommend, just based on those horrible visuals, which just such a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
What else do you got?
The only other thing I watched is The Birdcage from 1996.
Oh wow,
Mike Nichols finally got around to this movie. I just remember this movie being huge.
Oh yeah, it was huge.
It's a fucking huge movie, right? So I finally got around to it, and I was somewhat excited because you got a hell of a cast here. Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, Gene Hackman, Dan Weiss, Hank Azaria, Callista Flockhart, some fucker named Dan Futterman, who the fuck that guy is. And it's great because he shows up, and I'm just like, yeah, that name really fits. He just looks like a Futterman. I don't know why. But I do wonder, like, what happened to Dan Futterman. But this is really a product of its time. It was really funny at times, especially Nathan Lane just being out of control. Lane. Yeah, he's just like he's great in this. That like Robin Williams trying to teach him how to be a man, and he just fails a lot. Just there's a number of instances where this movie is just laugh out loud funny, but also just doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. Just like a real product of its time. Especially like everything with Hank Azaria's character, him being Guatemalan and just being, like just some of it is just really cringy. And then it just kind of quickly gets wrapped up at the end, which was kind of unexpected for me. Like I knew where it was going, but I don't know. It just kind of surprised me that that wasn't more drawn out of, Gene Hackman trying to get out of the apartment. It was just kind of like they came up with the idea. You knew what the idea was going to be because, oh man, it's goofy. And then he gets out and then it's just movie over. You're like, oh, I was not expecting that. I thought we were going to do more here. So, I mean, it's enjoyable enough.
All right. That is the Birdcage. That's one that we'll have to cover on Saved by the 90s at some point in the future.
Yeah, it's such a 90s movie.
Yeah.
My God.
All right. I saw Black Widow. This is came out in theaters this week, and I think it's one of those like Disney Plus things where like you can pay extra to watch it at home.
Okay.
Like $30 or whatever. It's not worth $30, I'll tell you that. But saw it in the theater. This is directed by Kate Shortland, who she did Lore, if you remember that one came out in 2012, and she did Somersault from 2004. So this is your pretty typical Marvel movie. I don't really have much to say about it. Some of the action is fun. Some of it is a bit too over the top for me, like just really wild set pieces. Like there's this giant fight where everybody's falling through the air. So there's this like giant air base that's like blowing up and pieces of it are falling. And there's like a shootout in the air and they're like landing on falling debris and fighting in the air. And it's like, that's insane. Like how far up are you guys? Like what's going on here? It's just, I don't know, just a little bit too over the top for me in some regards. Certain aspects of it were really fun. Florence Pugh's character is great in this. She's funny. She's a badass. Loved her character. I think that they're kind of setting her up to be the new Black Widow, it seems. I know that she's going to be back in the Hawkeye series. So I think she's going to be back. Scarlett Johansson, great as always in the lead role, and then, as I mentioned earlier, David Harbour's in this. He plays this the Red Guardian, who's like basically the Russian version of Captain America, and he was like sort of Scarlett Johansson's dad, like not really. It was like an assignment, so he was like pretending to be her dad for 3 years. It's too long. It's like over 2 hours long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes long, just like every other Marvel movie. So it's too bloated. They probably could have eliminated maybe one action sequence, but the fight scenes are well choreographed. So I would give it like a super light recommend. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect, but it is entertaining nonetheless. And that's, you said you didn't have anything else, right?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. So I was flying this week. So I loaded some stuff up on the old iPad to watch it. The Ice Road was one of them. This is the one directed by Jonathan Hensley, and it's a Netflix movie with Liam Neeson. It's an action movie, and it's like it's about a guy he's an ice road trucker, and there's a mining accident where a bunch of miners are trapped, and they're in like a diamond mine or something, and they have to get this part over to the mine quickly. So they hire Liam Neeson, who's this badass ice road trucker, to get it over there. And it's sort of like Sorcerer. Like I would kind of compare it to Sorcerer, where there's like, lots of treacherous things on the way. The ice is breaking, and then there's like one of these people double crosses them, and
Well,
it's bad, but it's like the perfect kind of like just turn your brain off and occupy your time for like an hour and a half. That type of movie.
okay.
So if you're looking for that, like a background watch, something to put on at night, on a plane, it's great. I'll tell you that right now, it's great on a plane.
Oh, interesting.
Dynasty Warriors is another one that I saw. This is also a Netflix one. This is not great on a plane. I don't know why, but I just wasn't feeling it on a plane. It's directed by Roy Chow Hin Yun. It's based on the popular video game series. And I think they do a pretty good job of translating it, honestly. Like, I wasn't sure, like, how are you going to translate Dynasty Warriors? I mean, you would think, like, you could easily translate it because it's just about big war, like a giant war.
Mm-hmm.
But what they do in this, the thing about Dynasty Warriors, if you've ever played it, is it's so over the top with, your one character is, like, murdering tens of thousands of people, like mowing through armies in the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And they translated it pretty well into the movie because literally like the characters, that's what they do. So like the moves, the stuff that they do in the movie, it does the same stuff where like he'll like one of the characters will have like a big sword or like an axe and they'll like smash it into the ground and you'll just see like 1,000 people flying through the air and they're all getting struck by lightning at the same time. And it's it's just completely over the top. And if you're familiar with the games, you'll know that they have this like hard rock soundtrack, this really generic butt rock. They bring that into this. So,
yes.
so it has this like really like almost like this generic heavy metal soundtrack to it. And it's completely over the top. And it's pretty fun. Just don't expect a lot out of it. The CG is really hit or miss on this one too. The final one that I'll mention is Summer of Soul. This is the documentary that's directed by Questlove, and it's on Hulu. So this is a Hulu doc, and what it's about is the Harlem Cultural Festival that took place in 1969, 68 or 69. I think it was 69. What this was it was basically, it's considered Black Woodstock. And it was this enormous festival, took place in Harlem. It was completely free. And there was over 300,000 people that attended this thing. So it was massive. But the crazy thing is, no footage of it has ever been released. So they shot a movie or tons of footage to turn into a movie, similar to what they did with Woodstock. But the footage they never did anything with it. It literally just sat in a basement for 50 years. So nobody ever saw this footage until, I guess, Questlove got a hold of it and put it together and created this really well-crafted concert doc out of it. And one of the cool things that he does is, so he gets pretty much a lot of the surviving performers who played there and people who went there. A lot of them were like kids when they went there. But what he does is he shows them clips because none of them have seen this footage either. So like he'll show them the clips and then like sort of film their reaction. And a lot of them like get really emotional out of it because they're like just remembering what an amazing experience it was and stuff.
Yeah. So
it was just this really great just added thing that he did with it. It's a great documentary. I would highly recommend it. And like if you want to see, like if you're into the like 60s R&B soul, there's a lot of like Motown in this too. It's definitely a must see because there's performances in here that I think that probably nobody's like ever seen before, and they're like big acts. Like Stevie Wonder's in here. I didn't know Stevie Wonder played the drums, but like he does this freaking insane drum solo in it. So it's definitely worth a look. And again, it's on Hulu.
Would you suggest watching it on Adderall?
uh, yeah, sure.
At the Strand?
Yeah.
Take the Adderall.
That'd probably work. Definitely work.
That's it. I don't, for whatever reason, because of that one time watching Monterey Pop Festival and Adderall.
I remember.
Any concert movie, I'm just like, you probably have to watch this with Adderall. It's probably the best practice. I
remember that experience. It's good stuff. Yeah, I think you would probably like it a lot. I think you would.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this one. I did not know that it was on Hulu, so I'm very excited now.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got.
Wonderful.
Let me stop this. All right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. The wide release one is Escape Room Tournament of Champions. This is a sequel to the Escape Room movie. I didn't hate Escape Room. I was just like a bit middle of the road on it. I'll probably check this one out just because there's really nothing else. But, you know.
Ring endorsement.
Yeah, I mean, I like escape rooms. I like that. I think they're fun, but the first movie I thought didn't really wow me. All right, let's see what else we have here. We got Space Jam: A New Legacy. That's also getting a wide release. I forgot about that one. That'll be on HBO Max as well.
Oh boy,
this looks so bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looks awful.
So bad. Like, why would they?
Completely unnecessary.
It bothers me that they made them all CG.
Yeah.
Like, I guess they don't at the beginning. Like, at the beginning, they're 2D, and then when they enter, like, whatever dimension, they turn into CG, and I don't know. Make them 2D. If you're going to do it right. In limited release, we have Great White, the shark movie. We got Pig, also. That's the Nicolas Cage Truffle Pig movie.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be covering that one.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, same. On VOD, coming up this week, on the 13th, we have The Green Sea. And then on the 14th, we have Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix. Pretty excited for that one. This is shaping up to be a really good week.
All right.
Not interested in Gunpowder Milkshake?
Maybe.
Action movie with a really solid cast.
Yeah, it does have a good cast. Okay, it's got big bad wolves.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
This was on my anticipated list 2 years in a row. So.
Oh, Giamatti?
Now I finally get to see it.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it is on Netflix, so I'm pretty sure it's going to come out. Also on the 14th, we have The Final Ride. This is some kind of horror movie. On the 16th, we got Out of Death with Jamie King and Bruce Willis. It's got action thriller. We also have Fear Street Part 3 coming out on Netflix. And then, as I had mentioned, Space Jam's going to be on HBO Max.
I feel like we have to do the third installment of Fear Street. Like, it would seem odd to just stop.
I was thinking about that because at first I was like, "Oh, should we just wait and do all three of them?" But then I was like, "Well, no, because then we don't really have anything to talk about." So
yeah, I guess we have to commit to this. It seems like
All right, on Blu-ray this week we have The Pianist from 2002. That's going to be on the Shout Factory Shout Selects line. Almost Famous is going to be coming out in 4K. Looks like there's a steel book for that also. Snatch is coming out in 4K. Wrath of Man. That's the newer Guy Ritchie one that came out earlier this year. That's coming out. I'll check that out. It's on VOD now too, so
yeah,
I'll give that a rental. Mortal Kombat's coming out. That's the new one. Yeah, disappointed. We have, there's a really, really cool steelbook version of Snatch. It's got a really cool cover.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The Warriors is getting the Ultimate Director's Cut. I don't know what that means, but I hope it's not the one that they came out with several years ago that added the stupid comic book panel things.
More of that.
The director wanted that too, so it might be the same. This is the dumbest idea ever. I can't believe they did that.
Well,
Tremors 2 Aftershocks from 1996.
yes.
Coming out.
Yeah. Odd.
I think there's a bunch of Tremors movies coming out because it looks like Tremors 3 and 4 is also coming out.
Yes.
They're all bad. Don't see any of the Tremors sequels. I love Tremors, but man, just all the sequels are horrible. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles from 1987 is getting a new Blu-ray release.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love that movie. Bunch of Marvel stuff's coming out, like sets. So it's like Iron Man 3 movie collection, Thor 3 movie collection, Ant-Man 2 movie collection, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, little combo packs.
No, thank you.
Nah, no, same. All right, that's pretty much it. What about Criterion's?
Oh man, we got two. We got Bill Duke's Deep Cover.
Uh-oh.
With Lawrence Fishburne from 1992.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, buddy. New Conversations. Oh man.
Never saw this, but I want to.
Yeah, I love this addition to the Criterion Collection. And then Lizzie Borden's Working Girls from 1986. So 2 new ones getting added to the collection there. Exciting.
Yeah. Lizzie Borden? Isn't that the woman who like killed her parents or whatever?
Yeah, she's also a film. No, it's just the.
It's the same name though, right?
Yeah, it's the same name.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Definitely the same name.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your topics and questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulse.net and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be extremely helpful. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.